Wait, is this shotgun?
Yeah, we need like Roger Deakins, cinematographer.
Oh man. Well, we gotta go one hand. Let's move it closer. Kirk, move it a little closer, bro.
This would be an elite as well.
No, I want to be like 17. Alright, here we are with the IRL review.
Kick Eye by Arca. Recently transitioned from male to now female.
It's not cool to look at the kids. It's cringe if you look at the camera.
This is like the one meme where it's like,
Oh yeah,
video
the
of the kids.
yeah. It's like, should we ban weapons in the Arca is a experimental industrial ambient drone Venezuelan musician, producer. Work with your favorite artists, work with Kanye, work with Bjork, work with Frank.
Those are all the artists. So
Your favorite
that's it.
artists.
All artists.
I mean, who's your favorite again?
Frank.
Yeah, we're Bjork.
Kanye.
You're a Chatmonster, you're Arca.
Today's
Initial
album is
thoughts?
Arca.
Honestly, when I first turned this album on first listen, wasn't really feeling it. I'm gonna be honest. It just was like super abrasive the first listen, and I kind of wasn't ready for it. Through more listens, I think it did start to grow on me for sure.
Terminator shit.
The first time through, I don't know, I didn't really know what to expect because I hadn't heard her before or anything. So the first time through, I guess it wasn't, I didn't like love it, but kind of similar to Scott. The more I listened to it, the more I found tracks that I liked and spots that I liked, and I grew on.
Yeah, I just formed my initial thoughts, just heard it for the first time. You know, we just had the last listen through before we started now. Definitely a super fun album. I think that there's a lot of out there ideas, you know, on the Bjork type, but also there's a lot of like trap production and just some really catchy reggaeton ideas, Latin ideas. Biggest strength kind of came out immediately to me because it's just like, it's a super, I feel like it's a tight album. I feel like it's a really well composed, even if I don't love every idea, and especially in the beginning.
Yeah, so my initial thoughts, I think I had the opposite effect of Scott and Evan. My first listen, I was loving it like crazy. I was like, wow, like I'm gonna give this a really high rating. I loved how like crazy and abrasive it was. It was super left field type production, and it was a big switch up from her last record, which was self-titled, which is more of ambient, droney type stuff, which she still does on this record, but not as much on the last one. But I loved it. I thought every feature was like really, really good. Yeah, I loved it. Going into, I guess we talked about the production a little bit. Do you think it was a little spotty in areas, or was it pretty much consistent throughout the whole record? You got one main idea for the whole record.
One thing that I thought that was produced really well was the vocal performances. I thought they all like played their part really well. We were talking about earlier how they have the non-binary as the first track, and I think she plays that really, really well throughout the entire album because she makes so many different vocal effects. You know, you can never really tell like if it's more of a
masculine sounding voice,
a feminine sounding voice.
And I thought all the features were great in their respective tracks.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with the non-binary because I thought, you know, it's like a new era. She had to like change up completely with her music style, and I thought non-binary was like a badass track. Like, I'm so different, and like this is what it feels like to be cool and stuff like that, and it fit really well on the record.
She's like super versatile too. Like,
yeah.
You know, I said before, I didn't realize that was her doing all the vocals until tonight. I thought that like the synth production was good on some of those like more ambient songs. There's a lot of reverb, and I think it helped create this like really good atmosphere that fit the song style like pretty well. It weren't, you know, it was like these super like washing synths and stuff. I like them a lot. I don't know about you guys.
No, I like I guess the slower songs, if you call them. They definitely built the space.
I think definitely one of the biggest strengths was the production, like the recording of the vocals. Like all of them were super solid, and I mean it's definitely something that's hard to pull off without putting too much distortion or having it too grainy. Even if they use that for an effect, sometimes it comes off as lazy or incomplete. But I think like every vocal recording was like super tight. I was never like cringing because it's like there's so many different ways that she utilizes her voice, and then she has to record it all those different ways and have different levels of reverb and different types of mixes where one song could just be like nothing and then just like really heavy hits and stuff. But she still mixes in like these really light vocals, and they never feel out of place, even on, you know, recording other people's vocals.
The features felt like, especially on the Rosalia track, it was just like another instrument. It wasn't like when I was going into that Rosalia track was like she's gonna have a crazy performance, but it's more like her Arca cutting up like Rosalia's voice for the most part, which I loved because it fits so well in the crazy production.
And the features are like have like very different styles and voices, and she does a really good job of incorporating them into the sound like seamlessly. It's like, you know, look at Bjork and then like Shy Girl is like a totally different, you know, style and sound, but she slots them right in very well.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool that she was able to like use their.
Just wait, you missed the part.
Hold up.
Lightning McQueen over here.
Bev.
You know, it's her, and then this other random person, it's her, and then in all these different forms, and then she brings in someone else, so it's not really that different.
She definitely knows how to
Yeah,
collaborate.
she knows how to collaborate
Yeah.
super well. How did you guys feel about the Bjork track?
I liked Bjork a lot. I thought it was good until like the second half. I liked Bjork a lot. Much once like Arca comes back in with vocals, I thought it was kind of, I don't know, it just kind of felt like it just like kind of went on.
Well, the second half was kind of more ambient, wasn't it?
Yeah, and there was like the echo on the and reverb on the vocals.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed that part of the song as like a whole. I enjoyed on the first half Bjork's vocals more than the instrumentation behind it. So I enjoyed the second half actually better.
Afterwards was the Bjork track. I think that kind of brought out the biggest problems for me with the record, which was closing the ideas, and it also comes down to some problems with writing, or like at least how the phrasing sort of took off, because I feel like afterwards like had that amazing, like it's crazy because Bjork had such an incredible performance, but I still ended up not loving the track, partly because I don't think the instrumental was incredible compared to the other ones that were really solid, but I didn't think it was incredible, but also because I was not a fan of that later section where Arca came back in. Didn't feel like they were going anywhere. Sort of come off on, you know, making a statement, or like the last line is something really strong, or like it leads into an ambient section that seems like it's going somewhere. It just felt like it kind of was like, which is, it's hard to end an ambient track, but I don't think they pulled it off. And it came up in other tracks too, like.
My problem isn't mainly inside of the song. I think it's where it places. It comes right after Calor, which is like just I guess the first,
Wasn't
like
Time
the slower.
the slow song?
I
Yeah.
guess. I think it was more like.
It's like an instrumental one.
Yeah,
Almost.
like after listening to Calor, I kind of wanted something a little bit more upbeat. Kind of goes into another longer song, which I did like the Bjork feature, but I think it could have been placed somewhere else, or maybe one of the songs near the end. What about the different languages? How did you guys feel about that? Did it add? Did it take away?
Scott, you go. You haven't talked in a few minutes.
It was a barrier for me. Didn't know anything that was really being said apart from the English, but I thought it was
Controversial.
interesting. Tough to connect with a song that you really can't understand, even if you really try. You have to go to Google Translate. The vocal performances were great. So, I mean, it didn't really affect me in the end that I couldn't understand it. It was cool to listen to, and that's really what matters to me.
I actually liked it a lot, that it was bilingual, I guess. I mean, obviously, just like Scott, I couldn't understand like 99% of what she or they, whoever was singing or rapping, was saying. It made it feel more like authentic, you know, because she's South American and they speak Spanish, and it's like, you know, it's not just like she's trying to be. I also like some of the lines. I feel like they're delivered better in Spanish than in English, even if I don't know what they're saying. They're like just,
Especially
you know,
in Rikiki.
Yeah, especially in Rikiki.
Yeah.
You know, they deliver with such like ferocity, and I like that a lot. I think just like Spanish singing is maybe more beautiful than English. I didn't know what they were saying.
A mystique to this album that the language barrier maybe helped, in my opinion. I'm trying to look at it if like you couldn't understand the Spanish, because there were even at times in the Shy Girl feature where I was like, I'm not really sure what she was saying.
Disclaimer: Carlos speaks Spanish. All right.
But I wasn't really sure what even Shy Girl was saying at one time. That's kind of her whole shtick. So I think it helped.
She's shy.
Yeah, she's shy. Obviously, she's
she
a
the
shy
one-
girl.
Like the British one?
But
He's from AP Lou, Mr. Leach.
like I think the collaboration on Watch went over so well because Arca kind of understands Shy Girl's whole like persona and how
like
she
trying
raps.
to hide what she's
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
and things.
I feel like if the album was all in English, some of the songs just wouldn't work. Like KLK is like a
Yeah.
Latin
Yes.
dance song. If that was in English,
Yeah.
it would be like a failure, a flop. You know,
Right.
it's way better in Spanish. Even if I don't know what they're saying, it's just
I mean, in all sort of industrial or experimental music or shoegaze or things like that, there's a point of like, do they actually want you to hear or understand what they're saying? And I think there's definitely that sort of deflection, like the non-binary, the crazy vocals, all the different languages, all the vocal effects where you like can't understand what they're saying. It's definitely inviting though, because it's definitely beautiful and it's always composed. It's like, oh, she's just speaking Spanish just to like make me confused. It's not like that at all. But
like an artistic tool.
Yeah,
That's
Like
very true. It never feels forced. It always feels very, very natural. I mean, she even switches languages in the middle of some songs, right? And
Yeah.
it just doesn't even seem like that big of a switch.
I think we're on to the next. You're talking about language.
yeah, we talked about that was a good one.
The one that stands out the most is the Rosalia one, KLK. Not the craziest production, but it's like crazy enough where you can definitely tell this is not something that would fit into like radio. That was definitely a highlight for me. It was a great feature chopped up the vocals insane, like most of this record is.
Easy to move along with, like it's totally like dancey and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, like there was like a whole bunch of voices all like at once kind of,
Mhm.
but I thought they worked really well together.
Yeah.
So this letter is K, the next one is L and K.
Get it? Okay.
Yeah, I could almost hear this on like a radio or something. I mean, it was definitely
Not a TikTok song.
Nah. Rosalie, I think, really made it, or at least how they produced her voice. Also, her performance is good as well. It almost sounded like an Indian style
Like,
timbre.
yeah, I can
So
tell.
like I loved how it just focused on the, like the sounded like a Chief Keef beat, just like a bell, like just going. Or how did it go?
This album, like one of the first things I kind of thought about it is like this genre is very blurred.
Any other big tracks?
I liked
I really
Rikiki a lot.
Yeah,
It's one of my
that,
favorite
that
songs.
track was great.
I like the cadence and the vocals.
Yeah, I
there.
thought the vocals were awesome in that song, and they did the thing that I love to do. Where they split the vocals, pan them to each side, and they offset one by like a tiny little bit to give it like a chorus effect, and I
Yeah.
love that. I love hearing that on like anything.
This track was my favorite Arca vocal performance. She
Yeah.
snapped on this track with the. She almost rapped at one point. It was like an androgynous sounding rap. With the different panning, and I loved how like when the beat cut out, she was like towards the end of the track, she like kept on repeating these different phrases that connected really well. I really like that song a lot.
And I like it just like switches languages like seamlessly in
Yep.
the verses. It goes from that she's speaking in Spanish and then switches to that like love in the face of fear section like seamlessly. Talking about Rikiki.
Any highlights that you wanted to shine a
that's good.
spotlight on?
Almost the most standout because there was no other track like quite like it, but non-binary, the opener, very almost spoken word, laid back in terms of like trying to have some crazy flow, but it had some very interesting lyrics, and it's the only song that at least in my brain like I can actually remember the lines like really well.
I loved it. I thought it was the best spot to put that song. It was a new era of Arca, recently transitioned. Tell other people how it is to be non-binary, just how it is to be a badass.
Yeah, it was in your face, but it wasn't so much in your face that it put you off with the rest of the record, which I thought was a great.
She's kind of like putting her foot down, saying this is how it is.
Yeah, like if you're
Like-
not gonna like it, then don't listen. But
Yeah.
it wasn't that abrasive.
Yeah. I also really like.
I don't think many bigots are listening to Arca though.
That's
unfortunately.
fair enough.
That's probably what she wants though. So I thought
We're not bigots, guys.
Sorry, not bigots.
Not us.
We would never be bigots. The like spoken word element kind of thing actually helped a lot.
Yeah.
Because she like
A lot of times it was out of time or it was not in time with the music, or it was just the lyrics. It was just more about like the lyrics and the music, and she's not gonna follow the rules of like I have to stay in time and do this and that. I'm just gonna like talk at you about what I'm doing and how I feel.
Yeah, so much sass and like attitude.
Yeah,
in
especially the opening
how
lines. I
it's-
do what I want. Like I do what I
Yeah.
I do what I want to do when I want to do it.
Yeah.
But the one line that I thought was really clever, it was really punk rock in my opinion,
Fugazi.
was when she said, "You know what you're dealing with? This isn't a deal," which is like kind of an interesting
Yeah,
idea
it's
because,
not-
and I was like, yeah, why do people
Yeah.
say, why do people
Wait a
say,
minute.
why do people say, what are you dealing with? Like you're not even, like I'm not even dealing with you. Like I'm not even.
To everyone that's
No,
going
I'm
through
above
something, just
you,
go around
bruh.
it.
Yeah, that song had
I'll
my
never
favorite
fade away.
element on this album, the gun.
Yeah,
She did that a
empty
couple
case
times, didn't she?
dropping.
The,
Yeah,
like,
she did it on a
gun
couple
sounds,
different
like
songs.
Yeah.
It's such a cool sound.
She does it so it like fits in time too. Like the gunshot will be on the first beat,
Yeah,
and then
it's like
the eighth
quantized
note or the
somehow.
eighth note is like the the clip or the.
I wish she was holding
Yeah.
a gun on the album cover.
Yeah.
Two black eagles just.
like yeah,
That's
Black
a-
Ops 2, Black Ops 2.
Yeah, then Sean would listen to it. Yeah.
Black Ops.
And then when the snare comes in, it's a wrap for that song.
I feel like it wasn't really low points in
Like
track
track by
list.
track.
It was more like sometimes I would just get there was some lulls.
Or like lose
within-
focus. or
Right,
something,
that was
yeah.
my yep.
What was the first? It was Calor and then After.
And then
Afterwards.
Yeah. Like that 8 minutes almost.
Mhm.
Those two tracks, and that was kind of a little bit of
Yeah.
a
Kind of
lull.
like blends together.
Yeah.
And just like
That was probably my biggest gripe as far as flow.
I forgot about this one. What about Rip the Slit? That's like another.
big standout. That was
Yeah.
What about Rip the Slit? What do you guys think about that?
I think the production was excellent. I wanted something more from Arca vocally though. I feel like 50th time in saying Rip the Slit got a
was it
little
like-
bit too
like the-
repetitive.
I like the beginning when they were talking about lipstick and shit like that. Like that was like the first couple lines. But like when it was Rip the Slit, like it was like. But then once she just started, I don't think Rip the Slit. Like it's like, and I don't think it's a good phrase. Like I don't really like the words. They don't really sound like that cool to me. And also I don't think the performance was. I thought that was like the worst performance.
Kind of like Okay by Madian.
Slits and cuts.
We'll do
Four guys, one mic.
one Rip
Um,
Slit.
One slit.
I'm gonna go with my two likes. We're gonna go with non-binary and watch. Those are my two. And then
what
my
for cut?
My Rip the Slit is gonna be Rip the Slit.
My slit is gonna
my
be
slit is gonna be Rip the Slit.
For me, I think two favorites. I think Color was probably my favorite. There's the tone of the piano is recorded very well, and somehow it was different from other. You've heard the piano a million times, but there's something interesting about this one, and it was a great melody, very entrancing. I'm gonna have to go with KOK. I mean, that song was so good. My cut. I'm gonna cut Cheeky. That was
La Cheeky?
La Cheeky.
Cheeky with Sophie.
I feel like that was like an underlying song, and that was the one that opened. That was right after Rip the Slit, right?
Yep.
I didn't like the opening like lick or melody, repetition.
You talked about the piano on Color. I just made a connection just then. It kind of sounds like something Nicholas Jar would do on Sirens.
Yeah, it does sound
Which
like
I think is like an appeal for us because we all love that album.
The
Favorites, I'm gonna have to go with KLK for one, and then I think the other would be Rikiki. I like that one a lot. And then my cut, I don't know, No Queda Nada just didn't really connect with me. Kind of just didn't, I don't know, just didn't do it for me. That's probably my miss.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go. My two favorites. Watch, banger. Shy Girl snapped on that. Arca snapped on that. And then I'm gonna go KLK KLK as well. The most accessible. Don't sleep on it. It's still a banger. And then I'm cutting Rip the Slit. I'm gonna have to agree with you guys. Rip the Slit
Is ripped.
is ripped.
Yeah, that's Rip.
Scuffed.
We're ripping the slit. Yeah. Final thoughts.
Forgets every time.
How do you? Yeah, it's not hard to give it a number. I feel like my full opinion of this album hasn't really come through. I don't know. I feel like I've managed it. Brought in a lot of great ambient elements. I did. That was a part I didn't mention as much. I really loved songs like Color, Machote, No Queda Nada. Those were also some of my favorites. But I think it's definitely a super solid track list. It's not something I'm gonna come back to all the time. Anyone who's a fan of industrial pop would like this album, like, without a doubt. I think it's around a 7 for me, but I think I'll put 7.1. There's no point of giving it 0.1, but I don't know. Like, it's a little bit better.
Kind of like what Victor said, I don't think my full opinion of this album has really developed yet. We've only had a little bit of time to listen to it. And there's a lot going on, so I'm not sure I've really come into it yet. There were a lot of songs that I liked, a lot of moments that I liked. I think a great thing about this album is that there's, like I said before, a lot of different kind of styles. For a number, I think I'm also going to give it a 7.1.
I don't mind going.
Yeah. Whoever picks usually goes last.
Okay. I didn't know if we wanted to, jump around the flow.
You got your bev?
You should. You got to edit Scott and move him in front of Carlos.
It really didn't click with me at first, this album. Like, throughout the week, I listened to it a lot, trying to get an opinion on it. Today, I listened to it, like, 3 or 4 times, just trying to really, like, grapple with it, because I was, like, I was just really trying to, like, understand it, and I think it is one of those albums that will need time to fully understand. I did recognize the artfulness in it. There's a lot of beautiful, beautiful songs with the, ambient sections, but then there's a lot of in your face. I'm going to have to give it a 6.8 because I didn't really connect with it. It's still growing on me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Carlos is like listening to KOK right now and then.
Definitely biased towards this because this is like, if like we were on Tinder and it's like industrial pop,
Super
like I'm
like.
swiping right. I'm super liking
Super
this
liking it.
new era type shit. I really like this album. I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
Whoa.
Hey, there
We'll
you
have the
go.
lights to change this time.
Where's this rank in 2020 for you right now? You can give us a sneak peek into that.
Low-key, like, I haven't listened that
2020.
much this year.
After next week, it'll be number 2. We
We
know what's coming in.
It's
Now.
top 5.
Top 5?
It's top
Okay.
5.
Top
But
5,
it's
top 5,
not
top 5.
I don't know if any of you looked at any of the music videos.
Yeah.
Oh, they're
I did.
crazy.
I was frightened. I watched one at night before I went to bed. I didn't go to sleep that night.
Yeah, she's.
Did you like the cover?
crazy.
The cover was I was indifferent towards it.
Yeah, I was not feeling it.
I liked it.
Victor, you don't like any covers.
No, that's not true,
Except
bro.
for the
Prince Batman. Oh my god.
No, bro, if we get the cover I like, I'll say I like it, bro.
So it'd be like Prince, Patty
Horses.
Smith.
No, there's a lot of
Lou Reed,
covers
that's
I
it.
like,
Smiths.
bro. There's a
Blonde
lot
on
of covers I
Blonde.
like. Yeah, Blonde on Blonde.
Wait, you
is
like
good.
Half Full Hollow?
Yeah. What? That one is good.
Bro, they like picked the worst shade of blue ever.
Ooh, I love. That's like
Clashing
my
with the
favorite
gray.
color, bro. That shade of blue is like that's like my
Alright,
favorite
so that's
color.
it for the episode. That's it.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yes,
leave
thank
leave
you.
a description in the comments.
What'd you think of the new setup?
New setup.
Yeah,
Hopefully we'll be doing this again in the coming weeks.
Oh, we will. All right.
Next week with the project.